Here, we managed to find 6 issues in this case. First, adverse audit opinion. Second, convince investor. Third, financial restructure. Fourth, worker retrenchment. Fifth, poor management. And last is going concern status.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Nazhifah binti Muhammad Yuti. I'm going to explain about the first issue of Besi Corporation Berhad. The first issue of BesiCo is adverse audit opinion. Based on Appendix 1, the auditor has made 5 audit queries regarding this issue. The first audit queries is relating to going concern of BesiCo, which is total liabilities has exceeded the total asset and having difficulties to fulfill some borrowing obligation due to bad performance. All these incidents place significant doubt over the going concern of BesiCo. Actually, BesiCo is able to continue going concern because BesiCo has obtained a good response from the China investor who willing to take part in restructuring BesiCo. Therefore, BesiCo should try to convince the foreign investor to invest with BesiCo, and this will help to overcome the problem in fulfilling the obligation and continue the operation. From the investor, BesiCo will get funding and being able to be great again in the future. So, in order to ensure the going concern of BesiCo, BesiCo should has future plan which is improve internal control and should increase their sale and revenue. In order to improve internal control, BesiCo should appoint 2 different persons for managing director and chairman. BesiCo also should has proper risk management so that will get effective internal control. The way to improve sales and boost revenue is through marketing strategies where BesiCo can advertise their product through online platform using social media. With the advance in technology, this online platform can help the company to reach more customers and the market will be more wider. The second audit queries is regarding deferred tax asset, which is BesiCo has recorded deferred tax asset despite the loss in recent years. Based on IAS 12 state that deferred tax asset should be recognized for all deductible temporary difference to the extent that taxable profit will be available against which the deductible temporary difference can be utilized. Current tax asset can only be offset in the statement of financial position if the entity has the legal right and intention to settle on a net basis and the deferred tax amount are levied by the same taxing authority on the same entity. Since BesiCo expect to gain profit in their business if they successfully to get investment from Chinese investor and making a restructuring planning so they can use deferred tax asset to reduce taxable income in the future. The third audit queries is regarding property, plant and equipment. The auditor cannot make a conclusion on the PPE balance even though the evidence of impairment has been provided to the auditor. So, from the statement, we can know the company using 2 methods to recognize their group of PPE, which are cost model and revaluation model. According to IAS 36, at the end of each reporting period, an entity is required to assess whether there is any indication that an asset may be impaired, which its carrying amount may be higher than its recoverable amount. In this BesiCo case, there is no impairment on the group of PPE has been found in the income statement. Meanwhile, according to MFRS 116, an entity shall choose either the cost model or revaluation model as its accounting policy and shall apply that policy to an entire class of property, plant and equipment. Therefore, in this case, BesiCo has not appropriately performed the measurement on their group of PPE as they use both cost model and revaluation model in performing their measurement. So, BesiCo is wrongly record the group of PPE as they use both method which cost model and revaluation model. So, BesiCo should make an adjustment regarding this matter. Next audit queries regarding the inventory comprise spares, supplies, and consumable. The auditor unable to ascertain the recoverability and appropriateness of recorded inventory at cost basis. According to IAS 2 inventories, state that inventories are to be measured at lower of cost and net realizable value. The cost should include purchase cost, conversion cost, and other costs incurred in bringing the inventories to their present location and condition. While net realizable value is the estimated selling price in the ordinary course of business, less the estimated cost of completion and the estimated cost necessary to make the sale. BesiCo is wrongly record the inventory at cost basis and do not give in the right value to measure the inventories. Therefore, BesiCo should accept the auditor queries and make adjustment on the inventories. The last audit queries is regarding provision of onerous contract. The auditor unable to ascertain the extent of adjustment needed for onerous contract, since there is no provision in onerous contract has been made in relation to the offtake agreement with Besi DRI Sendirian Berhad for the supply of steel product. IAS 37 state that a contract is onerous when the unavoidable cost of meeting the obligations under the contract exceed the economic benefits expected to be received under it. The unavoidable costs reflect the lower of the cost to fulfill the contract and the cost of terminating it. For this case, there should be a provision of onerous contract as Besi DRI has ready supply of steel product according to offtake agreement but was not taken up by Giant Steel. So, Besi DRI has a right to sell off the steel product to any other purchaser at a lower price, and Giant Steel has to compensate Besi DRI for the difference in price. With regard to the issue, BesiCo should make an adjustment of this matter.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurbaiti. Now we move to the next issue, foreign investor. The investor has some doubt over BesiCo financial condition. What should BesiCo do to convince the foreign investor? First one is BesiCo need to provide financial performance analysis. Based on income statement of BesiCo, the company incurred losses for both years in 2015 and 2016. The analysis BesiCo should provide is, in 2015, BesiCo incurred losses attributable to the international steel price remain low level due to sluggish demand. The poor financial performance in 2015 also due to the steel price competition for local steel players. In 2016, BesiCo was able to reduce their losses and improve their financial performance. The fewer losses incurred in the financial year 2016 as a result of the steel price shows some recovery in that year. The steel bar price also was on uptrend due to reduced capacity of steel production and the rising price for raw material. This analysis shows positive trend for BesiCo financial performance. Next is BesiCo should provide financial position analysis. To provide financial position analysis, we need to use vertical analysis. Based on vertical analysis for financial position, the trade and other payable is increased from 59.98 to 82.18%. From the analysis, the percentage got larger in 2016 due to there being no production of giant steel production during the year. BesiCo also heavily in debt and technically insolvent. Increasing of the percentage also due to global supply glut and caused the giant steel are forced to liquidate, which the company had crossed default loan in September 2015. Next analysis BesiCo should provide is ratio analysis. The first ratio analysis is liquidity ratio, which to show the ability of BesiCo to meet its short-term obligation. This ratio includes the calculation for quick ratio and current ratio. The analysis for liquidity ratio is the ability of BesiCo to meet its short-term obligation become lower in 2016 due to the increase of trade and other payable during the year. The ability of BesiCo to convert its various assets into cash lower in 2016 due to sluggish steel demand and dumping activity. The next ratio analysis is solvency ratio. The solvency ratio includes calculation for debt to asset and debt to equity. The analysis for solvency ratio is debt to asset ratio for 2016 is bigger than 2015 due to stiff price competition and unstable market demand for steel production. The negative debt to equity ratio indicates that BesiCo had incurred losses and the interest on its debt is greater than the return on investment.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Aida Nabilah and I'm going to solve the third issue, which is financial restructure. So let's proceed. First is by increasing the liquidity for business expansion. For example, overhead costs. Assess overhead costs if there is opportunities to lowering them, because lowering overhead costs will give direct impact on profitability. Overhead expenses including rent, indirect labor, and professionals fee. Next is unproductive asset. If the business is just storing those assets, then it is time to get rid of them. The only reason companies should spend money on assets such as building and equipment is to generate revenue. Second is by making operational improvement. Operational improvement include making adjustment to the vendor and supplier relationship. When determining how to rebalance the debt, we should take clues of our vendors. Rather than lumping them all into one group, we have to classify them based on our company's long-term stability. When contacting vendors, be transparent about the situation and let them know that we are into financial restructuring. The key to maintaining their trust is to never overpromise. Third is by increasing net asset turnover of the company. Improve debtor collection. The slow pace of collection of account receivable increases the chance of lowering the sales. This reduces asset turnover ratio. By preparing and strictly adhering to a debtors policy, the company can actually improve the assets turnover. This can be done by hiring an employee overseeing account receivable or reducing the debtors credit period to at least industry norm.
Next, fourth issue, which is workers' protest retrenchment because of BesiCo to fully shut down the operations of Giant Steel due to its bleeding operations. For the recommendations of the workers' protest retrenchments, firstly, BesiCo should identify and document the objective criteria for the retrenchment and select neutral, unbiased decision makers. Employers should create an objective criteria for deciding which employees to let go. For example, an employee's decision may be based on years of service, experience in the field, document job performance, document disciplinary history, the status of the worker, or on any combinations of these categories. The cost of developing an objective plan is only a fraction of the cost of defending a single lawsuit. Secondly, BesiCo need to pay the employee the severance pay and giving as early notice of dismissal as practicable to the workers concerned. Severance pay is the compensation an employer provides to an employee after termination, such as extended benefit, which is health insurance or other benefits. It because offering severance pay can soften the blow of an involuntary termination and to avoid future lawsuit by having the employee sign a release in exchange for the severance. The earlier notice of dismissal will make the employees prepare to find a new job as a backup after the dismissal by BesiCo. Thirdly, BesiCo should reduce the working hours and limit the time of overtime work for employee. A reduction in working hours improves BesiCo profitability, and lowering employee pay also lowers BesiCo portions of payroll tax. Then, reducing employees' hours is effective in managing operating costs during an economic downturn. It also allows employees to manage their performance by allocating more hours to higher performing workers and fewer hours to your less efficient ones. Reducing hours in a judicious manner improves the chance of getting the most out of your employees.
The next issue, which is the fifth issue, is poor management of Besi Corporation Berhad. Besi Corporation Berhad is said to have a poor management because the company financial performance is fluctuate and they failed to submit the regularization plan for 4 times in the past 3 years, as well as their subsidiaries company Giant Steelworkers protest retrenchment. We decided to give 3 recommendations in order to solve this issue. First recommendation is for the company to restructure the management department. BesiCo could communicate the reorganization planning to determine the best path for the company. For example, BesiCo could cut down their expenses by lay off their workers. By cutting off these expenses, the company could focus more on their performance as well as to increase their financial performance. Next recommendation is redefine its missions and visions to get better view. By redefine their missions and vision, the company can identify their problem area and overcome their problem. The company would be able to submit their regularization plan on time as they are able to recognize their problem and come out with a good solution. Therefore, BesiCo would not be delisted when they are able to submit their regularization plan on time. The third recommendation is for BesiCo to develop relationships with their workers to understand their workers more and get new idea on how to improve their management. Having a close relationship with the workers can make management to understand their needs of the workers. Any problems regarding the satisfaction of the workers would be solved in no time. In short, BesiCo will be able to avoid any protests that are made by the workers, as the workers would feel that the company understands their needs. BesiCo also would get idea on how to improve their management from the problems that are faced by the workers. In conclusion, BesiCo would be able to improve their management by taking these recommendations into consideration.
The last issue is going concern status of Giant Steel. As we already know, BesiCo was once profitable company as it owned the country's largest HRC steel plant via its subsidiary that is Giant Steel, which manufacture flat steel products. Therefore, in order to save BesiCo, we believe that Giant Steel can help to solve the issue. The first recommendation is hire specialized and skilled technician and engineer in order to make sure that the product quality are met the specification as well as consistent. The skilled engineer and technician are important to make sure the plant is always up to date.
Other than that, engineers also able to generate new ideas to make sure the plant and equipment can keep up with the demand and improve technology that can lead to reducing cost efficiency and others. Next is the company need to upgrade and modernizing their mills and plants that are used to manufacture HRC and CRC. In order to become successful in the steel industry, the company need to have good maintenance practice. One of the ways is upgrade the steel milling equipment because it is very advisable in order to meet the guidelines. It also will help to achieve the product efficiency. Based on some research, by modernizing the plant can help the company improve the productivity rate by 50% and it will lead to increase in productivity. Last but not least, the company should diversify its product. Giant Steel should change their strategy of production instead of only focusing on production of upstream products such as steel billet and steel steps. They should also focus on the production of downstream products like steel rolls, pipes and others. It will help Giant Steel to gain more income and customer. Therefore, it is more efficient and cost-effective to combine downstream and upstream process by controlling all aspects of production.